sharing experiences, really important, learning from each other, hearing from our expert speakers.
I want everyone to really take control of their health, because it's your body and your life, and if you're not in control of it, no one else will be.
Turns out that almost all pacemakers are completely fine to go through an MRI scanner.
Both septal ablation and surgical treatment show good results. It's safe, comparable.
HRT for many women is a lifesaver.
However, and it was a real shock, they told me I did need a transplant.
It's funny being a carer. You know, sometimes people don't take their medicines properly and you get cross at them. Why are you not taking your medicines?
I would say the next big stage in the development of this story was our understanding that this is, in many people, a genetic condition. So it's a heritable and transmissible disease.
So some of the pros of genetic testing are that we can find a causative gene change in some people.
Good morning. So my first arrhythmia was one Saturday evening in January 1996, soon after going to bed. It lasted probably about 10 seconds, although it seemed longer. Initially I thought I was having a heart attack and expected to feel some pain, but when the arrhythmia stopped, I lay awake for a while expecting another episode. By the time Monday arrived, with no further episodes, I went to work as normal. In early March, I was off work with a virus, and as a sales engineer, I was unable to visit the customers in food factories, so I went to the doctors. He asked me if I'd experienced any chest pains, to which I replied no, and mentioned the arrhythmia episode. I returned later that day, and he discovered that an abnormal rhythm. I was referred to Warrington, but eventually went to Liverpool Heart and Chest Hospital after using the company private healthcare provider. So in early 1997, my first catheter investigation discovered a hole between the left atrium and the left ventricle, which is known as Wolff-Parkinson-White. Subsequently, I started experiencing longer episodes of arrhythmia, and by 2001, these were lasting up to 6 hours. Some drugs were used to stop the arrhythmia, but they didn't work. By the end of 2002, I stopped driving and took long-term sick leave. Eventually, with mutual agreement, the company agreed a termination package, so my private healthcare ended, and I transferred to the wonderful NHS. So between January and April 2003, I had an echocardiogram, a pulmonary function test, and I wore a 48-hour Holter monitor tape. Whilst at home, my health deteriorated to the extent I had to sit down to go upstairs. I decided to clean out the paperwork at home. My will was up to date, so I knew the family would be okay, but I didn't expect to survive the year that year. Fortunately, at my appointment in early April 2003, I was diagnosed with cardiomyopathy. Told I could drop dead at any time, as the tape showed 81 episodes of arrhythmia in 48 hours. And I needed an ICD, so I was admitted immediately. I was delighted with this news. Finally, a diagnosis. I was kept in hospital for 5 days and pumped full of amiodarone. I returned to the hospital a couple of weeks later to have an ICD fitted. My recovery was slow, and although I was discharged in 2004, I pushed my GP to refer me back to Liverpool Heart and Chest Hospital, as I felt I still wasn't fixed. In April 2005, I was told there was a serious risk of heart failure and given 2 additional medications. One would dilate the arteries and the other would improve the electrical system. From 2004, my fitness level improved, but never back to the previous 2000 levels, although I started work back in June in 2008. And I'm pleased to say that I never had any time off sick from the new job until August 2018, when I was admitted to hospital for another ablation, which lasted 6 hours. The ablation resulted in me being admitted due to puncture in the left ventricle, which caused the loss of 200 millilitres of blood. In November 2018, I had a 3-lead ICD implanted. This knocked me sideways and I was off work for 9 weeks. I tried returning to work, but the strain of getting up, getting dressed and travelling on the bus was just too much. So my last day was in early March 2019. When I arrived home from work, a letter from Liverpool Heart and Chest told me that I was being referred to Wythenshawe because they had a transplant programme, which is all I needed on the day I just handed my notice in. Well, effectively gone on sick. So although I tried returning to work, the strain, after that, I got a mobility scooter from my sister and had a stair lift installed. So effectively, it converted my house to a bungalow. I also updated my will and put everything into a family trust. This ensured that if I went into a care home, the local authority would be able to force the sale of the house to pay the fees. Now, in August in 2020, on my fourth call, I received my new heart, thanks to the generosity of my donor's family for allowing the donation, to which I'm really eternally grateful for that. And thanks also to the wonderful NHS, without whose skills and expertise, the transplant could not have taken place. Recovery from the transplant was a challenge, learning to walk, eat and feed myself again in hospital. Although I must say, I had the best all-inclusive holiday ever in Wythenshawe. It was fantastic. It was a challenge, but returning home after 5.5 weeks, I began to take short accompanied walks around the estates with my daughter. And eventually, on the 6-month anniversary, I did a 5-mile walk on my own around the estates. It's pretty flat in Warrington, so it was okay. So by 2022, 2 years post-transplant, I volunteered at the British Transplant Games for the first time. In 2023 and 2024, I volunteered and also competed in the Games and managed to bring home a few medals from Nottingham this year. So I've been abroad to Crete last year with my daughter, and I went to Cooper with a friend earlier this year. So I feel much fitter now after joining the gym last year. So thanks for listening to my story. If you'd like to know more, I'll be around all day, so please say hi, and apologies for not being keyboard. Thank you.